Greetings and good evening, one and all. Peace, namaste, hey, and A as well, live and direct from Canada. I trust all is well in whatever part of the world or universe you may be tuning in from, and wherever you are, I beam you vibes of peace, positivity, love, and light straight from my heart directly to yours. Boom! Oh yeah, that's right. It's time for another wonderful book review. And without further ado, let's dive in, shall we? So, in today's episode, we will speak about The Inner Circle, written by one of my favorite authors, Mr. Paul Wagner. And I really appreciate the way this author expresses ideas and his thoughts and just his overall way. Basically, I find resonance with it, although we have our obvious differences. Now, what I like about the way he expresses himself is how clear, straightforward, easy to follow, easy to comprehend the messages are, and how quick it is to read through his books and then go back and find things that give you reason to pause and say, that really is interesting actually. I should look further into that. So because I experienced many of these moments going through this book, I was of course inspired to share with you in case you may be inspired too. The Inner Circle is another one of these books that I wish I could read to you from cover to cover. Of course, we can't do that, so what I will do is give you a quick rundown of the chapter titles, in case that might whet your interest, and then we will get into what I've determined is the most interesting chapter that's worthwhile of sharing in this format. Also, I'd have to make notes from all of the chapters, put them together, and I don't think you'd get the actual depth of the messages if I were to do that. So I don't want to waste your time or mine or the authors and not share the essence of what is contained in this book. So first off, we have the opening salvo, which I suppose I should read to you. Then we have training as ritual. So it's inclusive of mental, physical, and spiritual training because they all go hand in hand and complement each other. And one of the most interesting things from that chapter was learning that physical activity really helps our brains to grow and helps the cells to turn over and just spark up. And the bigger our brains, or the more our brains grow, the more brain cells reproduce in there, and the more brain cells we have, the more we can process more and more thoughts, you know what I mean? And of course, when we work out, we send energy and oxygen and all the good stuff through our system and to our brains as well. So one thing you may notice about very successful people is that a lot of them spend time in the gym. And it's not about vanity or having time to burn, but it's because the physical activities or exercises, one, creates more brain space so they can develop thoughts and ideas more fully, and it also helps to alleviate stress. It burns off unnecessary thoughts and energies that are coursing through us, and I've experienced this as well. The more lethargic, the more lazy I treat myself to being, I've discovered that the more sluggish the brain seems to be as well. But then when I jump right back into incorporating physical exercise into my routine, the more effective the brain becomes. And who doesn't want a more effective brain, right? So I think one of the things with the pandemic is, unfortunately, a lot of us were told to stay inside, stay hunkered down, and what that does is it really diminishes our capacity to think. And so when we're staying inside, living in fear, and being fed certain messages over and over again, it's a form of conditioning, mental programming that most people aren't aware of. And the more you then go outside, reconnect with nature, reconnect with your physical self, the more you start to think about things, and the more the thoughts start to flow, and the more we begin to question what's happening as well, right? And the more you look at things, the more you investigate, the more we do this, the more we see that things aren't always as they are presented to be. And there's reasons for all of these things. So, I don't know, something to think about. Next up, after training as ritual, we have ultimatum, which is something we ought to do to ourselves, give ourselves ultimatums to grow. And then we have the hour of great contempt. Now these are things that are all about self-reflecting and then learning from the reflections how to grow and become better versions of ourselves. And in my personal opinion, I believe that is part of our mission here on this planet, is to, one, strive to become the best of ourselves, or the best versions of ourselves, and to help each other become that as well, right? I'm sure many of you will agree with that too. So after that, we have failure is not weakness. Failure is not a weakness, it's a way of learning. And the more you fail, the more chances you have of succeeding. And of course, I'm learning this as well. And yes, experience teaches that these things are true. Those of us who are afraid to make mistakes really never grow much, because we're so scared that we're like, I don't want to turn this way, I shouldn't do that, no. And then what are we doing? We're self-limiting, right? So as children, we played, we explored, we fell down, scraped our knees, and banged our heads and whatnot, but kept going. Somehow we were conditioned along the way to stop doing that because, you're getting older, you shouldn't ride a skateboard, or you shouldn't do this, and no. But then there are 80-year-olds who are running decathlons and doing crazy things that some 20-year-olds can't even do. So I think a lot of it is mindset. And this is why mind is very important. We need to nurture the mind, not nurture the mind. Anyways. Next up is aesthetic. Aesthetic is the way we do things, the quality in which we do things. Then we have progressive overload, and this is a term that is used a lot in physical training, which applies to training to your max and then pushing yourself past the max. And this applies to mental training as well. And it's something I get tested on a regular basis at work, because I am the center of this wheel at work where everyone comes through me, because I'm kind of like the messenger. And instead of going straight to certain other people that I have to report to, people come through me, and those above me send messages through me as well. So I'm really in the middle, and I see a wider picture than most people, where I also feel a lot more, and I get a lot more stress. And before I knew certain techniques, before I was aware of how to, move my energy and deal with stress, I would let all of that energy enter me, and it really put me in an unpleasant place. And for a lot of the time, I was not happy and not happy-go-lucky, the person you see now. I had pent-up stresses that would then be directed towards people who didn't deserve it, because you can't yell at your boss, you can't yell at certain people, but you can theoretically yell at those who are close to you, and unfortunately sometimes that pushes people away, right? So you live and learn. Anyway, after progressive overload, we have manas and mantra. And this is about the use of words to program and condition ourselves to become our greater versions. We are always being conditioned and programmed, even when we're not aware of it, by external factors. So the more we become aware of what the external factors are that are conditioning us, the more effective we can become at conditioning ourselves. And I think I really appreciate, I like the way I condition myself, and I'm going to share that with you in case it may help in another video. After manas and mantra, we have jera and yantra. So they are also complements to each other, and I don't have a short way of explaining what they mean at this point in time, so we'll move on. After that, we have resistance and the importance of understanding how resistance affects us and how to work with it to grow. Next up, we have standard bearers. Then there's Bhagavan and Berkano. Berkano is another, it's kind of like a Viking word, or what is it called? It's an Indo-European, it is Indo-Aryan, that's it. So it's like an Aryan, and I don't mean this in any kind of crazy white supremacist way, it's just Aryan is a term. And Indo-Aryan is also a term that we should look up and understand what this means, because, you know, in the past, cultures intermixed and learned from each other and so on and so forth, and then, you know, through time and with politics and so on, divisions were created, and we're in a big mess right now with things, but it wasn't always like this, right? In the past, people did intermingle and learned from each other, so these are ancient words. After that, we have runes, the pathways to mastery, and then lastly, the book ends with some insights on how to start a gang of blueprints. Now, this is not to say it's about starting a gang so you can go out and do violent acts and whatnot. This is more about how to basically create a group that helps support each other and create ways to help each other grow. It's all about learning and growing and encouraging each other. Okay, so having gone through the chapters, and to save you some time from me going on and on, I'm gonna jump right into, okay, let's do the salvo, and then we'll jump right into the 6 qualities of a leader, because I find that chapter was very insightful, and I found myself going back to it time and again, and that is what inspired me to be like, perhaps I should share this with the YouTube audience in case somebody might get something from it as well. So thanks for bearing with me thus far. The opening salvo goes like such. From the beginning of Operation Werewolf, it was clear that this was not for everyone. But that's okay. Everything is not for everyone. Okay? The exclusivity was by design. From the look to the message to the way in which it was presented, the author's aim was true: to disseminate a distilled and fiery sermon of lupine strength that would ignite a blaze within those it was intended to find. So the flame found me, and it surely did help ignite that flame, because the fire must burn. The spark of intelligence, the spark of divine light that exists within us must continue to shine. This is part of the mission we are here for. But not everyone comprehends that, not everyone recognizes that, because we're all on our own journeys, we're all on different levels, we're all on doing different things, we're all here for different reasons, right? And we all have different types of karma and different types of things to resolve and move on from, and so on and so forth. So this is why everything isn't for everyone. But We're all here to do something. Okay, so then he goes on to explain a little bit more about Operation Werewolf, and I'll continue with this. Operation Werewolf is not for all. It is not egalitarian. It does not recognize halfway or nearly there. It is not a pat on the back to say, good job, for mediocre efforts. It is representative of the yawning abyss that exists between wolf and man, and the transformative efforts that occur there, in that darkness, that howling and terrible void of separation from the mundane. The great work must never be forgotten or diluted, and within those who carry its true fire in their hearts, it hasn't. But from time to time, the tree must be shaken by the storm to be freed of dead wood. The fields must be laid to waste by the hail, so that the weaker crop dies off, and only that which has strong and deep roots can survive. Such is the way of nature. This book is a collection of essays and pieces that were produced during his time on the Oregon coast, based on experiences and insights and so on from his journey there. What else can I share with you from the salvo? I guess that's it. It's a collection of essays and so on. So let's move right into the 6 qualities of a great leader. And a leader does not have to be a leader of a kingdom or like a country or a nation. It can be a leader of their own world, a leader of their own lives. You know what I mean? You are meant to be the leader of your life. You are the captain of your ship. I am the captain of my ship. Chewie is the captain of her ship. Right, Chewie? Yes, you are. You're also co-captain of my ship. That's fine. Okay. BHAGAVAN and Mer-Ka-Ba. Whoops, I lost it. Ah! No, I didn't. I was on the right page. Alright, so BHAGAVAN and Mer-Ka-Ba, Part 2. Becoming BHAGAVAN. So here we go. In Vedic literature, to be called BHAGAVAN is to be possessed of 6 qualities. The possession of these qualities are a prerequisite for being an excellent leader, and those who walk the path of the Lord, so the path of their higher selves, and look for rulership in this world, and not of others but of self, would do well to learn and attain them. As part of the disclaimer at the beginning of the book and so on, the author goes on to explain that by no means is he an expert in the Sanskrit language, nor am I pretending to be. However, I do intend to become more aware of this Sanskrit language, and I do have another book. Let me just grab one. I do have another book, which I'll give you another close-up of. This one's heavy. Oh, it's dense. And it is called Yoga Vatahanamam. Okay, I butchered that, but that's the extent of my Sanskrit for now. It is the translation of yoga, and it's a new approach to Sanskrit, integrating traditional and academic methods and based on classic yoga texts. So it seems pretty cool. It's not as densely written as I had imagined, but it is heavy, and this will take some time to go through. So I can't really review this yet because it's still unexplored. But we'll get there as well. Okay, so having disclosed that he is not an expert in Sanskrit and that he is, however, somebody who studies languages and the etymology of words and such, as do I. I love seeing word connections and seeing how, words within words and such. There are many, many things. And it's called spelling for a reason, right? We are casting spells when we spell words. We are casting spells when we speak. Okay, we'll save that for another episode as well. The translations and thoughts and understandings of terminology stem from his study of word definitions as shown by Sanskrit dictionaries and other sources of etymological information filtered through the author's own world view and experiences. So first up we have Jnana, J-N-A-N-A. The first quality is Jnana, often translated as knowledge. A leader must have a kind of knowledge separate from book learning or theoretical information gained from the acquisition of facts and statistics. A leader should cultivate the kind of knowing that is enmeshed in the true reality of things, uncluttered with conditioned ways of thinking and personal prejudice. This is why free thinkers and dreamers and open-minded people are very important, because they bring a wider view to the table compared to people who are raised in, specific cultures, certain cultures. They are indoctrinated into things, they're trained to believe certain things and so on, and it's just, no, this way is right, this way is wrong, my way, your way, no. These cause problems. But a good leader should be able to look past these small, narrowed scopes of vision and see the whole picture and comprehend what's happening with an unbiased view and unbiased mind before being able to move forward, right? Their understanding of the world around them must be perennial, total, divine in scope. That kind of knowing and knowledge must be distilled from years of experience placed under the lens of deep reflection and openness to change, a lack of attachment to subjective belief systems, or BS, and dogmas. Jnana cannot come from crash courses, nor the premature enlightenment that stems from those would-be leaders who place the cart in front of the horse. Jnana is the knowledge of reality itself. Boom. Second quality, Bala, B-A-L-A, from the Proto-Indo-European bel, B-E-L, meaning strength or power. The subtleties associated with the word are more accurately described as viridity, a sort of vigorous endurance capable of going the distance. It is the understanding of how and when to exert force in the right direction, as well as a physical, phallic kind of energy. So a leader must have force to exert, and this force must not be limited to proxy, but it must be an indwelling might that is both intimidating and reassuring, kind of like a parental figure who is there to provide love, but also guidance and protection. Know what I mean? And I'm sure we all know people like this who have a sense of presence in themselves, and other people notice this and are drawn to them naturally. When it must be, it can be articulated in various ways, depending on the situation. A good leader doesn't lash out. They see where the point of maximal effect is and strikes there with great force and precision. Next up, we have Ishvara, I-S-H-V-A-R-A, from the compound word that translates as to be capable of, ownership of, the best kind of choices or rulership. Ishvara is having the characteristics of a ruler to begin with. It is rulership itself, the definition of a king and all that it implies. It is also a recognition of the higher self that becomes the personal god of the ruler or leader. Their own heightened consciousness that they call upon for aid and counsel. So the more you start to explore what speaking with angels and speaking with the universe and speaking with God all means, it becomes more clear that, we're not speaking with actual beings, but they're concepts, right? And the more we can understand that it's not a being that we're praying to, but it's actually we're speaking to our higher selves, what we wish for, what we want. And somehow we need to learn how to connect our current self with the vision of our higher self, right? When we imagine, when we dream about, oh, I wish I had this or this or this, where does that come from? That is what we're speaking to. That is part of the higher self. It's not like God opens our minds and pours it in. We are actually dreaming about these things. And, this is not to be blasphemous or saying God is dead. Not at all. God is alive. God is an energy that flows through us. It's part of us. And, slowly we're learning that we can also attain a sense of godhood in ourselves. And it's not a bad thing. It's not to say, oh, I'm God. It's not. It's about knowing thyself. Right? Knowing ourselves means quite a great deal. So, it is the higher self that rules the individual and is submitted to in favor of those who succumb to their base desires or personal wants and needs in order to serve a greater purpose. This principle of understanding that the higher consciousness knows what is best for the body is a fundamental concept of rulership in general. And it must be practiced and internalized first on an individual basis before it can ever be brought to bear on others. This is why there's that phrase, know thyself. We need to know ourselves before we're going to impart things to others. And unfortunately, with how busy and conditioned and programmed our lives can be, not many of us have the opportunities to really explore ourselves. And this is one thing I'm really grateful for in my journey and being kind of like a solitary person, is that, at a very crucial time in my life, I was somehow given the opportunity, or the opportunity presented itself to me to get out of certain things, and having left certain things, I was able to enter into a kind of urban hermit type of life in which I am learning lots of deep insights that I think somehow I'm here to share with others who don't have that opportunity. I'm not married, I don't have children, I don't have the regular responsibilities that many have. And with my freedom, it's not that I'm wasting time. I do a lot of internal work, and I gain insights on what makes people tick, what makes me tick, what happens when we're dealing with problems and so forth. I'm like, oh, I understand better now why people get depressed and feel stuck. It's because they're stuck in a cycle and don't have enough time to really connect with themselves because they're always catering to others. And with me, I'm like, okay, well, the gift I can give back, or my gift, is having all this time to gain insights, and what I'd like to give back is what I'm learning from these insights. So hopefully somewhere along the way I'll be able to share more helpful things with you, but for now I'll be through books because, gotta start somewhere. The personal Ishvara is not dissuaded nor conquered by hardship or ordeal, and carries the ruler through life's most violent storms. The next one is Virya. Now, my pronunciation of these words may not be fully bang on. It's my best effort, so at this point, it's spelled V-I-R-Y-A, and right in there you can see the word virile. Okay. So, Virya, from whence comes the words virtus, virtue, virile, and so on. Virya is masculinity, and all that goes with the true expression of it. It is testosterone personified. The heroic attitude of the conqueror that is needed by all strong rulers and leaders, and a willingness to gladly engage in wholesome and challenging activities. It is right action, not just for its own sake, and it is discharged in the manliest of fashions. It is direct and encompassing, like an army arrayed on a field. Confidence and positive. This is the type of mindset that will weather high stress and tense situations and remain impassive and ready to do what is necessary. Duty, responsibility, and loyalty fall under the aegis of Virya as well, and all things that are inherently masculine and noble. Right? And when we say masculine, it doesn't have to be a male-female thing or like a, a gender thing or whatnot. It's an energy thing. It's all about energy, frequency, and vibration. I really, really, really believe this based on experiences. Okay, next up we have Shakti. Shakti refers to having a powerful understanding that a powerful man understands the feminine nature of things as well, or a powerful leader in general. Man here is not like a gender specific thing, okay? It's an overall umbrella term. So a powerful leader understands the feminine nature of things as well, and is also capable of the art of creation. Not of children from the womb, but of ideas, empires, works of art, and literature. They are someone who can bring something from the realm of raw potential into a fully realized state that changes the world around them, changes lives, changes minds and thoughts and feelings. They are a magician. And, whenever I read this bit, I have to put it out there that my most favorite sound wizard, to me, fits into this category because through the sounds in their music, they affect my energy. Like the sounds in their music affects my energy, and I really believe that they are a sound wizard or a magician. And those of you who've been following me, I add links to my favorite music in the section below, so please check it out. Links will be there. Shakti is the ability to act dynamically, to understand the value of fluidity and necessary compromise. It is the power to move through the universe and present what is needed for any situation. And like Bruce Lee said, it is to be like water. A ruler must be creative, or they will lack the imagination to inspire, or to see past their own motivations and rigid mindset. And lastly, we have the word tejas, T-E-J-A-S. Its word roots mean things like heat, shine, endure, illuminate, and also fire. Tejas is the internal inferno from whence, I love this word, a great man draws his boundless strength and passion. It is also that intangible without which a leader cannot exist, charisma. It is the brightly burning flame that draws those around him to him and makes them desire to follow him or be near him. We all have felt its impact on ourselves, but possibly struggle to identify just what it is that defines the idea of someone who is charismatic, but it is there, simple and easy to see. Tejas is fire, and humans all wish to stand near it. With these 6 qualities, one might rule the world. Or, of course, rule their own world, right? First we master ourselves, our own domain, then we move forward, and not vice versa, because that causes quite a mess. Alrighty, so that, in a nutshell, kind of sums up what the essence of this wonderful book is. I guess I should take it out of the makeshift cover I've made. There goes a bookmark. But yes, here we go. The inner circle. Sorry, all of my internal notes are dropping out. And let me read the back to you, and then we'll just wrap this up, okay? Operation Werewolf spans continents, but within it, there is an ever-developing set of shared concepts and group-inspired verbiage and narrative. One can say that we are building our own mythology. This mythology, as we have said in the past, is not informed by historical occurrence as much as it is by other mythological forms and construct. Mythology is not rooted in fact, but in a truth that exists outside of space and time. It can be trusted because it is, in a way, like a machine, built from many small pieces with specific purpose and goals in mind, but also rooted biologically and organically into the shadowy dawn of human existence, finding its values in those things which have remained true for many people across many eons or ages of this world. Operation Werewolf breathes and grows according to the actions and deeds of those within it who make of themselves legends. Stories are told of these men and women around fires that are lit thousands of miles apart. Epic journeys are undertaken so that these men and women can meet face to face. Tattoos are applied ritually to commemorate the experience. And actually, touching on this, a couple of years ago, I guess it was in 2020, when we were experiencing our first lockdown and whatnot, I was going through some growing pains, definitely, and going through a Viking phase where I was like watching everything Viking. And then I listened to one of the albums from The Cult called The Love Album, which I will also link below so you can listen to. It's pretty cool. You have to be in a certain mindset for it. But during that phase, I ended up buzzing part of my the side of my head here, so it was like buzzed down to the scalp. And it was such a liberating, like empowering experience, and it gave me insight into why people apply tattoos. And it has something to do with connecting to their true natures, because it's so easy to, you know, connect to yourself, know something about yourself, and then when you go out into the world, interact with other people, it's so easy to get distracted from it or to get disconnected, because we easily, this happens because we're energy, we get sucked into other people's dramas and whatnot, and we can tend to forget who we really are. So buzzing my head was one way for me to connect with the Viking warrior aspect that I know lives inside of me. And because I can't really commit to some kind of drawing to, you know, to permanently put on myself, it's like, okay, well, the next best thing is to do something to my hair, because hair can grow back, right? And it was so cool. I mean, I may do it again. We'll see. This time, I'll buzz both sides and have like a crazy mohawk from Beyond Thunderdome or something like that. We'll see. Anyways, tattoos are applied ritually to commemorate the experience. Blood is spilled, friendships and new brotherhoods are grown out of the soil of difficult action and long sojourn. So these are like warrior type peoples, you know? The experiences are there for the taking. This mythology is alive for the shaping. Will it be your actions that help it grow into a towering monolith, or will you remain silently at home? For some of you, the few who take this idea and let it grow in your hearts until it becomes an undeniable urge, I'll see you out there. And on that note, brothers and sisters of the light, I thank you as always for tuning in. This was a lot of fun for me. I hope you got something out of it. And until our paths cross once again, stay well, stay great, keep that fire burning, and peace out for now.